In the scientific world, those who assisted in the dissemination of a new theory are frequently accorded more credit and reputation than its original developers. In 1840, Warren de la Rue created one of the first electric light bulbs by enclosing a platinum coil in a vacuum tube and running an electric current through it. A half-century later, Thomas Edison would use the same framework, improve the design, and reduce the cost, resulting in a product that was wildly successful. The smallpox vaccine was found in the East hundreds of years before it was in the West. Thanks to its superior medical expertise and long-standing dominance in science, the rediscovered treatment was credited to the West since it seemed to have originated in Europe, as it has done numerous times throughout history. Smallpox, one of the worst epidemics in human history, was a significant role in the 18th century's high mortality rate. A febrile, serious, contagious illness that caused facial scars and was coated in pustules, killed 3 out of every 10 people who acquired it. Smallpox killed over 300 million people in the 20th century, and another 500 million people perished from it in the last 100 years before it was ultimately wiped out in 1979. In the 18th century, the British used this incurable disease as a biological weapon against the French and Native Americans. Historical sources claim that they intentionally infected native people by dispersing contaminated blankets and handkerchiefs among the local populace. While variolation and other allegedly antiquated vaccination methods successfully reduced mortality in the East, they were largely ineffectual in Europe, where the speckled monster of smallpox inflicted extensive destruction. The vaccination procedure, that had been employed for years to fight smallpox in Ottoman territory, was observed by the wife of the British envoy to Istanbul in 1721. The term variolation was first used in the public consciousness of Europe by Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, who became well known for her letters from the Ottoman Empire. As the wife of the British ambassador to Turkey, she first saw variolation in 1717 while in Constantinople. The following year, her daughter was variolated in England, and the year after that, her son was variolated in Turkey. The first experimental variolation and smallpox challenge were carried out on condemned prisoners in England, who were promised freedom if they made it through the procedure, and they did. In this variolation procedure, a healthy individual who has not had smallpox is scratched lightly on the arms and legs, and then powdered scabs or fluid made from pustules from a smallpox patient is applied subcutaneously. Similar to someone who naturally contracts smallpox, the afflicted person would develop blemishes, but the disease's symptoms would be greatly reduced. The patient would experience improvement and complete recovery within 2 to 4 weeks after developing an immunity to the disease. But what caused variolation to emerge in the Ottoman Empire? It turns out that variolation, or inoculation, was used in a number of different parts of the world at the time when Lady Montagu wrote to her acquaintance. The inoculation procedure was first described in a letter written by Dr. Emmanuel Timonius of Constantinople in 1714. That letter would eventually be published in the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. He believed that this practice originated among the Turks and others at Constantinople, but he attributed its spread to the Circassians, Georgians, and other Asiatics. Cotton Mather, a clergyman in Boston, Massachusetts, responded by writing that his slave Onesimus had received the procedure when he was a youngster in what is now southern Liberia, Africa. Parrott Williams and Richard Wright, two Welsh physicians, both claimed that vaccination was widespread in Wales and had been practiced there since at least 1600. In this way, we can see how the process of immunizing people was started and developed by numerous cultures, who then refined their methods after learning from one another. Certainly, the Ottomans deserve credit for their significant role in this process. Inoculation appears to have been done individually in a variety of areas of Europe, Africa, and Asia at the time. Smallpox-contaminated wool, known as a pocky thread, was sometimes put around a child's wrist in Scotland and other places as a form of protection. In certain cases, smallpox scabs were placed into a child's hand as a form of defense. However, the vaccination we use today is the result of 20 years of study and observation by Edward Jenner, a local British village doctor. Jenner observed that exposure to cowpox, which develops blisters on the udders of cows and enables them to vanish fast, gave some resistance in people. He tested this notion by administering cowpox pus from a woman's skin to a young infant. Jenner utilized the cowpox virus he had acquired in 1796 to create a vaccination that rendered healthy individuals susceptible to smallpox. According to current medical literature, the smallpox vaccine, which used the vaccinia virus, a suspected hybrid of the variola, smallpox, and cowpox viruses, was the first vaccination ever devised. In 1872, the poor of New York City were immunized against the spread of smallpox. Smallpox was declared eradicated in December 1979, thanks to efforts in the 19th and 20th century to eradicate the illness through vaccination campaigns and laboratory tests. Vaccination campaigns on such a large scale have never been more successful. Smallpox is now the only contagious disease to have been wiped off the face of the earth. Simply said, humans nearly totally wiped off the virus's genetic lineage, removing any possibility of the virus being triggered in the future. And now, many years later, vaccinations have effectively wiped out the illness. Through this process, various diseases have been successfully treated and prevented through immunizations. According to the World Health Organization, the smallpox vaccine is no longer mandated. No one born after 1980 is therefore immune to the disease-causing vaccinia virus or variola virus. Consequently, the smallpox virus is regarded as the most lethal biological agent conceivable.